Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different and I'm going to be showing you how I create a Kiss Cut sticker sheet from start to finish using my Cricut Explore Air 2 and Cricut Design Space, correcting any problems we might find along the way because there are definitely some that are unique to the Cricut. If you haven't visited my channel before, thanks for being here. Please consider subscribing and showing your support. And without further ado, let's get started. Step 1. Artwork. Of course, you can't have stickers without the artwork behind them, so it's important to come up with a fun idea that you think will appeal to your target audience, and keep in mind that small details might get lost depending on how large you choose to print your stickers, and then draw accordingly. They say it's good to know your audience when you're making any kind of product, so one of the things you can do is kind of think about the types of things that you typically like to draw and the types of things that you also like to buy, and then see where those two things meet and try to design content that matches those things. And that way you're likely to attract buyers who like the same things you like, which will make it easy for you to create content for them. The bonus with this method is that you always get to draw things you enjoy drawing, and you get to build your brand around what makes you happy as a creator. Inspiration can come from all around you. You can take ideas from fandoms that you belong to, or even other artists sometimes have prompt lists that would help you think of some great stickers. Holiday themed stickers are always popular. Your environment. When designing a sticker sheet, try to come up with several objects that look like they belong together, so that way you can wind up with a sticker sheet that is cohesive and matches well as a set. In this case, the inspiration for this sticker sheet came from another YouTuber, Dina Norland. I'm one of her patrons, and for patrons each month, she has a monthly theme that we can all draw artwork based upon. And a few months ago, her theme was Iced Tea Witch. So this is the imagery that came out of my mind when I thought of that theme, and most likely this isn't accurate to practicing witches, but it's just meant to be fun and kind of aesthetic and more fantasy than reality. When it comes to the artwork itself, stickers can be made in literally any style. If you have a chunky line art style or thin line art style or no line art at all, traditional artwork, any of those can possibly be made into great stickers. As long as your artwork has good contrast and will show up nice and bright and clear once printed, it will make a great sticker. This tutorial will focus on digitally rendered stickers just because that's the kind I tend to create. Step 2. Layout. Once you've completed all the separate artworks that will become your sticker sheet, it's time to arrange them into a pleasing composition that fits within the size of the sheet you want to print. This can be accomplished in pretty much any photo editing or drawing program, but I find it easiest to use Photoshop. My sticker sheets are 4x6, so I'll be working with that size and have set that up in my Photoshop document. When setting up the document, make sure to set the resolution to at least 300 dpi for print quality artwork. After I finished the drawings in Paint Tool SAI, I created a transparent PNG of the file and brought that into Photoshop. Then I separated each sticker artwork onto its own layer so that I could freely move them around and figure out which layout suited them the best. In this case, I wanted the image of the woman to be the largest sticker on the sheet since it had the most tiny detail and reproduced the best at a larger size. I tried to make sure each of the supporting stickers stayed around 1 inch. And then I just fiddled with the placement until I found an arrangement that looked nice. Step 3. File setup. Once your stickers are arranged to your satisfaction on the sheet, the next step is to start setting them up for how they will be printed. Start by adding a white stroke around the outside of each of the stickers. This will be where the Cricut machine will actually cut the line, so try to make sure you give enough space that it shouldn't be too close to the actual artwork and risk clipping any of it. In Photoshop, to do this, you just go down to the bottom of the Layers panel and select the Special Effects button, and then go to Stroke, check that, turn it on, and adjust the size to the size you want and make sure the color is white. Once you've done one of the stickers, you could then Alt-click on the effects part of that layer and drag it onto another layer to just copy that stroke and make sure it's the exact same size easily. Or if it's easier for you, you could merge all the layers once you have the stickers where you want them and then just do the stroke on that one layer. I prefer to keep them separate in case I ever want to rearrange them again in the future. If there are any small holes in any of your designs where the transparency is showing through, it might be a good idea to go ahead and color white in that section so that there's not a tiny little part of the sticker that gets cut out in the middle of the sticker. I had a few of these spots in a couple of my stickers, so I took a moment to take care of that. Once you've created your stroke for the cut line, the next step is to go ahead and add another stroke, and this one's going to be for like the extra space you want to provide around your sticker, just in case the Cricut shifts a little bit and doesn't cut exactly on that line. It's kind of a bleed just to make sure everything lines up in the white. There are a couple of ways to accomplish this, but the easiest one that I've found is to go ahead and select the contents of all of the layers. And how you do that in Photoshop is you Control-click on the first one, and then you Shift-Control-click on all of the other layers until they're all selected. And then once you have that selection, go up to Select in the top menu, then Modify, and then Expand. And what you're doing here is telling it how many pixels to expand the selection. It might take a little bit of guesswork on your part or trial and error. I happen to know that it's 30 pixels for this particular artwork, so I'm going to go ahead and enter that in. And that'll give the Cricut a good amount of wiggle room when it's cutting. Next, make sure you have an empty layer beneath all of your other layers, and go ahead and select the paint bucket tool on white and click inside your selection, any one of the selections, and it should fill it with white. Then you're going to eventually merge this white field with your background once you have that in, and it'll become part of the background so it won't be a cut line. Next, you want to add your background, whatever you typically use for stickers or whatever you want to design. This is mine, and it's similar to some of the ones I've used in the past. And now I'm going to show you a trick I use in order to make things slightly easier once we get into the Cricut design space. First, I'm going to turn off the layer group that holds all of my actual sticker designs. And then I'm going to save as with just this background as a flat PNG. I typically add the word background to the end of the file name or backing. Then I turn off all of the layers except for the sticker layers, and I save that as a separate PNG and make sure it's transparent. Then I create a new Photoshop document that's twice as wide as my sticker sheet. So in this case it would be 8 inches wide because my sticker sheet is 4 inches wide. Then I place copies of the background and the foreground into this new document and line them up side by side so that there's basically 2 sticker sheets next to each other. This next part is only important if you like to have the Cricut cut rounded edges on your sticker sheets like I do. Otherwise you could stop here and move on to the next part, but for me I like to have the rounded edges, so I just go ahead and create 2 rounded rectangle shapes, which will later allow me to tell the Cricut to cut that as the outer edge, and I'll show you that once we get to the design space section. Now we could leave it like this, but one thing that the Cricut does that I've noticed is that if two cut lines are butted up right against each other, it sometimes doesn't treat it as a cut line at all and just kind of cuts around it. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of space between these two sticker sheets, and to do that I'm just going to change the canvas size so that it's about 1/8 of an inch bigger, and leave that 1/8 of an inch in between the two sheets. Finally, you'll want to go ahead and repeat the process we did earlier of saving the background as a separate PNG and then the foreground as another separate PNG. But this time you'll also want to save a separate PNG of just the rounded rectangles, because those are going to be another piece of the puzzle later. So once we have all 3 of these pieces, it's time to move into the Cricut design space. Step 4, Cricut design space. Okay, so once you've opened up Design Space, you're going to want to click on New Project up in the top right hand corner. Click Upload on the left, which you can't see on my screen capture here, sorry about that, and click Upload Image. And then browse and find those 3 images we saved, the foreground stickers, the background in one flat PNG, and then that rounded rectangle. And you'll probably have to do these all one at a time because it won't let you shift click and upload multiples, or you could just find them in your folder and drag them all over at once. Once you get one uploaded, select Complex and then hit Continue. Kind of scroll and check that you don't have any spare white marks anywhere that aren't supposed to be there, because that will mess up your cut. And then hit Continue again once you're satisfied. On the next screen, make sure the Print Then Cut image is selected, and then you might want to give it a name to help you remember what it is in the future, and then some tags maybe. And then go ahead and click Save. Repeat this process for the background image, but we'll do something a little differently on the rounded corner file. Okay, so for the rounded corners, when we open this, we can go ahead and select Simple because there's literally nothing to print. And then we're going to hit Continue and then save as a cut image because we don't want this part to print, it's just for the cutting. Okay, now once we're back on the home screen, we're going to grab those 3 images we just uploaded and then hit Insert Images. And this will take us to the actual design space. And now the first step is to go ahead and give our project a name so that we can save it. So just head right up to the top right hand corner, click Save, and type in a name. And this will make it easier to save our project as we go. Okay, so now that you have saved, the next step is to get these sized and arranged properly. And for some reason, Cricut Design Space adds these images in here at a larger size than how you created them. So what we have to do first is make sure that the stickers fit correctly on top of their background. So basically you're just going to play with it until it looks right. Once that part looks right, drag to select all 3 layers and then change the size height to 6 because we know that's the height of our sticker sheet. And that should resize all 3 of them. Then rotate them all 90 degrees and then change their positions to 0. Now they should be completely aligned on the top and the side, and that's exactly what we need. And now that we have these all arranged properly, the next thing is to actually create a couple of copies of our rounded corner background, because each copy will add another cut on the Cricut, and it's going to take several to cut through our paper sheet completely. So I'm going to copy this 3 more times. I'm going to select all those copies and make sure their position is set to 0. Now that we have everything placed correctly, the next step is to select each layer and hit this little attach button right here, and this is very important, so make sure you do this. And then once you've got everything attached, click on Make It. Step 5. Make it. Pressing the Make It button will take you to this screen where you can choose your printer. I recommend using the printer's system dialog just to check and make sure you have all of the settings correct for the size that you're printing. So that's what I'm doing here. I use a Canon Pixma Pro 100 for all of my printing, and I'm really pleased with the quality it gives me. Next, it's time to load your sticker paper into your printer. I use a few different kinds. I've found the best so far is by Nito Labels, and it's their glossy vinyl. It's about $1 a sheet on Amazon, so pretty spendy, but I really love the quality. Once your sticker paper is loaded and your printer is turned on, go ahead and click the print button on the Cricut Design Space. Here's how my print ended up, and I think it looks really nice, so I'm ready to get to cutting. Make sure you place the page on the Cricut mat the way it shows you on the Cricut Design Space, with the biggest white space at the bottom, and with your paper aligned to the top and left edges of the mat. When loading the Cricut mat into the Cricut, sometimes the rollers will pull the mat in crooked. One way to avoid this is to just kind of hold your hand on the back of the mat so that it kind of rolls up a little bit. Just gently, don't push it. And then when you push the load button, it should pull that in nice and straight. Make sure the dial at the top is set to the correct material, which in this case is vinyl. And then just go ahead and press the big flashing C button. And here's where I ran into a common problem with the Cricut. As it says right on Cricut's webpage, it sometimes has trouble reading the sensor marks on glossy paper. This is frustrating for me because I like to print my stickers on glossy paper, so I had to find a workaround, and after a lot of searching, I found one that works pretty well, and I'll share it with you here. So the important thing to keep in mind with glossy sticker paper is the fact that it's not the entire thing that needs to be read by the Cricut. It's just these registration lines here, and the glossy paper's reflection makes it hard for the Cricut to read them. So what we need to do is find a way to make those less glossy and reflective. One of the easiest ways to do this is to take some tape that is not crystal clear, and you want a matte finish, and just place the tape over that registration line. Make sure and get all of the areas where the scanner will be scanning the registration marks, which is basically the entire top, and then this top corner, and the two bottom corners here. You can just go around the entire thing if you prefer. Sometimes you might need 2 layers, but we're going to try 1 and see if it works. Turning off the lights can also help, because the ambient light can mess with the sensor. It found where it needed to cut. This is by far the simplest fix I have found for this issue. Okay, so as you can see, that worked perfectly well. They tell you the best way to remove this from the backing, from the Cricut backing, is to turn this over, grab the corner here, and just kind of pull the backing up instead of pulling the sticker paper up. This will reduce how much curl you get on your sticker paper. It still requires a bit of care. But as you can see, these are now ready to pretty much come right off. And there we have it, our finished Kiss Cut sticker sheet. So guys, that's the entire process that I use from start to finish. Drawing, setting it up in Photoshop, then the Cricut design space, and then printing, and then cutting. Whew, that's a lot. I hope this helped some of you out there. I know that a video like this that combines all these things would have been helpful for me. I've had to track down some of these answers in several different places. So I wanted to combine this for myself as a reference to look back on, and then hopefully for any of you out there who are having the same issues or just need a little help to get started. Also, if you like the sticker sheet we created today and you're interested in getting it for your very own, it will be mailed out next month to anyone who subscribes to the Faerie Folk tier of my Patreon. I recently lowered the price of this tier since I figured out some good shipping options, so please check it out if you're interested. I'll leave the link in the description. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I will see you next week with another art video. Bye, friends.